Section 4 also deals with the impossibility of socialism, but this time from the standpoint of the governing body. Many people have idyllic notions. They think that if the authorities were extremely good people, then the problem of socialism would be solved. Some people have gone so far as to say that if the authority were omniscient— listen, for the sake of argument, we might concede that the authorities are the most virtuous people humanly imaginable, the wisest, the most experienced, the most knowledgeable, the best. But what we cannot do, because it would be ridiculous, is to think of them as omniscient gods. Of course, God himself can organize society from above, based on coercive commands, assuming he exists. People of faith see him as an infinitely wise and omnipotent person. But we are speaking in human terms. There is no human being, nor any group of human beings, no matter how wise, virtuous and good, who can resolve the problems socialism poses. Not even if we accept, for the sake of argument, that those in power are always the best people. And this is important, because you are young people with interests, and you are going to take part in political struggles. Many of the decisions we see politicians making irritate us, and we say, we need to get someone else in office. Do not get your hopes up. Even if another candidate is chosen, even one we support, he will have the same problems. At most, there will be gradual, minor changes, but little else. The most we can hope for in society is to maintain a framework of substantive laws, which incidentally are few, stable, and permit the spontaneous operation of the market order. And this is true in any area you can think of. Facts are incredibly stubborn. For instance, a gender violence problem is detected, and a law against gender violence is passed. And do you know what the effect on gender violence is? It multiplies. Why? Well then, let us have more laws, more intervention, more failure. A drug problem is detected, and people say, let us wage war on drugs. More police, more resources, and so on. The problems multiply, and that happens in every sphere. Why do you think that is? Well, to find an explanation for this type of phenomenon, we must consider its theoretical scientific roots. The authorities are in a curious position, because they are isolated, so to speak, from the social process. In their position, they do not even realize or become aware of their own degree of ineradicable ignorance. I have often talked about the Moncloa, or isolation syndrome. The Moncloa is the Spanish Prime Minister's palace. I am speaking metaphorically. The authority is isolated from the social process and receives from it only brief glimmers, fleeting glimpses of the tip of the iceberg. But he is tremendously ignorant about what is really going on and what is going to happen. Furthermore, the information that reaches him is always biased, very incomplete, and out of date. The terribly irresponsible behavior of authorities should not surprise us, since they are unaware of the harm they cause. In terms of economic theory, a human act is responsible if the actor has taken into account the cost of the act to others. To do this, the actor must have information and must know what harm might be done to others. If you are an authority who is isolated from the social process, and you are unaware of a large part of what happens, your behavior will tend to be systematically irresponsible. And here we see the paradox that the more a politician wishes to intervene, the more he wishes to improve things, the more damage he does. In my book on socialism, I provide several illustrations of this phenomenon or syndrome. The Count Duke of Olivares suffered from it. He was a man of extraordinary enthusiasm and vigor, and he had the most honest intentions imaginable. He devoted himself entirely, 24 hours a day, to saving Spain and solving all of the problems. And yet, he destroyed the country. Why? Because he wanted to do everything from above, impose decisions by force, and monitor it all personally. Here we see the isolation syndrome, the paradox of good intentions, and the irresponsibility of an authority.